Hello. So today we're going to make 3D paper animals. So I wanted to go ahead and go through step by step on how to create one of your own favorite animals. So I have a couple of examples here. You can see a lion, a polar bear. Over here I have my little lamb. And each segment, the head, the body, the legs, are all popping out. So I will show you how to make them. So these are just some of the examples that I made, but I do have other examples that I wrote out. So for instance, a fish, a cat, a pig, a bird, a tiger, a monkey, an elephant, a fox, peacock, bunny, mouse, cow, and then I put some question marks because maybe there's something that you really want to do that I didn't list up there. So next, let me show you what we're going to need. So I have colored paper. So I don't have every color that is available, but I did the colors that most of the colors that I use. So also I have Sharpie markers. I use these mostly just for detail. You're going to need Elmer's glue, a hole puncher. It's optional. You don't have to have that. A clothespin, a pencil. I like using a mechanical pencil, an eraser, and I always like to have a ruler because drawing straight lines can be very difficult. So it's always nice to have something that is straight to be able to do that with. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to need is scrap paper. So I do have that out. And I decided I wanted to do a dog. So I kind of just started to sketch, and I have one image and one idea. With the scrap paper, it's just whatever paper, computer paper that's been, I was going to toss, but I decided to reuse. What animal would you want? So again, if you want a giraffe, you can play around with that. And the idea with sketch paper is this gives you an opportunity to be able to create and not worry about making mistakes. So as an artist, we all make mistakes. But the important thing with artists is they keep practicing and keep trying. And from practice is how we get better at what we're doing. So, you could sketch out a couple of ideas. So I sketched a little dog, but I'm going to show you, here's what I want him to kind of look like. So here's one of his ears. Here's another ear. I'm only doing this in Sharpie as a means to show, as an example. It comes up better on the video. Normally, I would just use a pencil when I'm sketching. So I want to play up the ideas of what kind of a nose do I want him to have? Do you want your dog's to be like that? Do you want your dog's head to be more triangular? I went with the other shape. I went with almost like an upside down triangle. So it kind of gives them bigger cheeks. What kind of a nose do you want? Do you want it to be round? Do you want it to be triangular shaped? Do you want to put the mouth in there? It's up to you to decide. So I'm having my dog so he's sitting. Oh, I should run it. Again, if I make a mistake when I do this, this is not a problem. And there's his tail. Have it wagging because he's happy. What other things would you want for your dog? Or what other animal you have? For me, I think I would want a little food bowl. I don't know what we're going to, I guess we'll name him Spot, because he's got a spot on him. What other things could I would love to be able to give a dog a nice big bone. So I think he would love that. So once you have all of these things figured out and sketched, the next step is to draw them lightly onto your paper and decide what colors do you want what. So like the ears, I would want brown. So I would cut that out of a brown piece of paper. The face, I'm going to have like a lighter brown, almost like a pinkish color like this. So the bowl, I decided I was going to do orange. So here, I'll just show quickly, like I can draw my bowl. And then I would cut it out. So if I would have cut it out. Oh, that's the other thing I didn't show that you need is scissors. So I jumped the gun on that. Getting too excited to get started. So when I cut, you see I didn't draw my image in the middle of the paper. I put it toward the end, you know, toward the corner, so that way I can save my paper in case I need to use it for other things. You know, a perfect example of that would be that I have all my scrap that I save, because this is going to be really good for when I need to create my dog head. So like if I want have my dog head, I can have it like this. Again, I'm not going in the middle, I'm going more toward the edge. I'm very lightly drawing it on, so that way I can get the better get the shape that I want. If I need to, I can start to erase. And when I get that shape, and it feels pretty, I'm confident about it, then I can take my scissors and I can cut it out. Take your time when it comes to cutting. So I notice like a lot of people tend to rush things, and when they rush, that's when you either make mistakes or you don't get exactly what you wanted, but you're okay with it because you just want to rush. So when you're trying to create anything that you want to be completely, you want it to look the way you want it to, you gotta take your time. So I cut out my head, I have my little dog bowl, so that head's done. Okay, I got that. Oh, it's a little smaller than that one. The next step would be, okay, so let me draw and figure out the body. So the legs I'm gonna make, and again, I'm gonna draw them out, and they would be like, and the head's gonna go here. But I'm going to give myself, I'm going to cut a little bit extra just to be safe. So an extra spot where I would put the head, an extra spot where I would put the paws. And then I would, again, just take my time to cut this out. And the extra, oh, get a little bit off there. So this would be his front part, his front legs. And then I would need to make the hind legs. So I'm gonna use my scrap because I think that that's a good size. So I'm actually gonna put this on top so I can get a feel for where it needs to be. So the legs are gonna be sticking out like this. And the little foot and his belly, and then again I'm going to just add a little bit more, and once I have that, that's a weird looking shape, so then I would cut that out. Once you have all of your shapes and then cut out, then we're ready for the next step. So I'm going to place all of these over because I already cut out everything, and I have my little dog, even his bone. So now I need to get my Elmer's glue, and I'm ready to start to glue things down. So now the grass on the bottom, I have a blue piece of paper that's going to be for the sky. You don't have to use blue. You could use whatever color you want. But I think if you're going to make your dog like a brown color or a light color, you don't want the background to be the same color. It kind of sticks out. You want it to stick out. So I'm going to take a little bit of glue, just a little bit. I always say that's like one of the big problems, that people put way too much glue in, and not only does it make a mess, but it just takes a very long time to dry. Okay, so that's down. Okay, so now my little bowl, I'm going to glue that down too. That's not going to stick out. It's not going to be popped up. So we'll put that little bowl one there, and then this is the inside of my bowl. Just a tiny bit of glue. So now the next part is, now I gotta attach his little paws. So these guys, they look like little kind of drips. They go here, and then one right over here. So it's almost like he's wearing slippers. I don't know. So, oh, I have a little bit of pencil marking that's still visible, and I don't want it there. Okay, so now here is his front paws, so I'm gonna put a little bit of glue there, and I'm gonna glue these down. I gotta get it up. This would go here. So now the face was actually the most complex because I had the most pieces that I had to do. So now this is where I used my hole puncher. So I used black paper, but I'm just going to demonstrate on orange, where I just took it in and punched it. And if I could get it out. Oh, I don't know where it went. Oh, it's still there. Oh, let's do another one. There. So that would be the size for the eye. Now again, I'm going to do black, but you could do whatever you want. Okay. So when I do, again, just a little bit of glue for his ear. Just a little bit for each of these. I like his kind of droopy, silly ears. His nose, I went with a triangular nose. For the eyes, this is probably the tricky part because these are small. Okay, and then he has his little spot part. So let's do that. I'm going to do a little bit of glue and put that on. And then I'll put a little bit of glue there. And I'll put that on. So now that I have all three segments of the body, I can do the tail. And again, I made a little bit of a color, a brown color for the tip of his tail. Oh. There we go. And that'll go there. So when I made the bone, I can glue that down. I also made just the last other piece. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. I made him a little collar. Just a tiny bit of yellow with a red collar. Or a kerchief. It's up to you. You know, a kerchief, you can give him a hat. I was thinking, oh, what if he had glasses? So it's totally up to you how you want to do that. So now, in order to make him 3D, this is the big part. I'm going to take some small pieces of paper. So I can take my colored paper, or I can take my white paper, and I'm going to cut it into little strips. And when I take those strips, I then I'm going to add a little bit of glue, just a little bit. Everything's a little bit of glue. And bend it into a circle shape and glue it together. So now this is where I use my clothespin, where I just leave it there to hold for a little bit. Now I have a couple that I already made. And now here's where we take a little bit of glue. I'm going to flip his body over. A little bit here, and a little bit on his hindquarters. Put that there. And you see it's 3D. So then I'm going to take another one, and a little bit of glue there, and a little bit of glue there. And I'll put this on his front quarters, like that. And then like that. So now the tricky part is, like, sometimes if the glue's, if you put too much glue, it's not going to hold its shape, and then it'll eventually fall. So you got to be careful with that. I think his head I'm just going to attach onto his body. And I'm going to put his head at a little bit of an angle, like he's curious. Oh, it's starting to slip. And that's okay. If it does fall off, what I could do is just let it dry like that. And then I can come in and I can put a little bit of glue and I could just do that one separate so the body won't fall apart. The last thing is the tail. And I didn't put that on. And I would put it right on by right over here. Maybe a tiny bit more glue. There, like that. Oh, he fell. Because again, the glue is not dry. So if that does happen, and actually I'm glad it happened, so that way I can show, like we can do it step by step. So if we left this like this, a tiny bit, and let it dry completely, then I can go and add a little bit of glue and I can attach this piece, because the body now is not going to move around, and I can let that dry. And that would be it. You can add whatever you want around it. Like what else besides maybe the dog food you can put in there. Maybe I can name it. So I'm going to take my Sharpie. So I think we called him, his name is Spot. So there. If you want, you can add a sun, you can add some clouds, maybe even a little doghouse in the background. It's up to you. You decide. So I hope that you enjoyed this and I hope that you guys make some great stuff. Have a great day.